No, you didn't do it right. You didn't wait for the fucking...
Okay. Maybe I should count to 3 silently.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Hey, everybody.
No, 1, 2, 3, go.
Hey, everybody. It's Safi and Marco.
3.
Dish out on the movies.
2, 1.
Am I doing now or what?
Okay. We're doing... What are we doing, Safi?
Okay, well, guess what? It's... Halloween is like 4 or 5 weeks away. Probably 4. And we have to move too. Isn't that nice? And we are doing, for the month, can't even think of the name.
We are doing full moon movies.
I was thinking of Puppet Master. It's all I could think of because
every year now for the past 2 years, we have done 10 full moon movies.
Which means they have quite a few from which to choose.
In the first year, I did it all myself, and the best movie was Dream Maniac, which was a movie that was so bad it was good. And there were a couple others that were really good too. In fact, it would probably be good to just have Safi watch all those by herself and then to see how she ranks them. Because then after we watch and review all 10 movies, we rank them. Mm-hmm. And that's the best part. And I thought it would be smarter and more strategic to review each one separately and then to just rank them at the end. Because whenever we rank them and review them at the same time, it's too long.
Yeah, it's too long.
It's like an hour or more. And it's like, ugh. Editing and uploading those can be a big pain. And so this is our first one, but we should remind you guys that we also do a thing where we try to predict what will be the best and worst. And I predicted that the best one would be Dog Graveyard and the worst would be Corona Zombies. Safi predicted that The Killer Eye would be the best one and Unlucky Charms would be the worst one. So we are starting off though with what? Safi, you have
Vampire Journal.
Yeah, that's when you talk. I said what? And you're supposed to...
Well, I'm trying to think. Are you saying all those names? I was thinking those are really good titles that I picked. That doesn't necessarily mean they're any good, though.
Yeah, this is Safi's picks. Safi picked them all.
What?
You did. You picked all the full moon movies last year, remember? I said, because last year you got mad that I picked them all randomly, by the way. And so I said, well, you can pick them for this year. And this is what you picked.
Well, actually, I'm really glad because I liked Vampire Journals.
Well, I was going to pick it anyway, so...
Oh, okay, well, because... I think maybe because they used a few Romanians. I recognize them by the name, Escu. It's in their last name, Escu, something like that. And that seems to be a Romanian name. And anyway, who knows best about vampires than the Romanians?
You like using Romanians, Safi?
Well, I don't know about if there was any... There might have been one Romanian in the cast. I mean, with that name. There could be others, too. But at least with that name. And I was wondering if they were all related. And I have no way of knowing. But I thought it was a pretty good movie. In fact, not even remembering every single detail of the movies we watched last year, which it probably wouldn't take much reminding.
Seed People.
This
Head of the Family.
Yeah, I remember that one. That's hard to forget.
Ooga Booga.
I remember that.
Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Trash.
That was horrible.
That was the worst one.
That was just toilet paper.
Yeah, that's like something you would write.
No.
And because it's all about like studying and stuff. Like studying sucks. And and then Robot Wars. Ugh.
Oh, that was horrible.
Like, you see, Safi? See how bad the movies were last year? And, oh yeah, Trancers, that one was really mediocre. I didn't pick those
Oh,
on
yeah.
purpose.
I
I
remember.
swear it was all random. So it was just picking terrible movies. But at least we picked Seed People. And actually,
Yeah,
I
I like
would
that one.
I would say that this movie, it's not amazing compared to Seed People. Like, it's just slightly above Seed People. Like, Seed People was really, really good. And I would say it's an underrated horror movie. I don't understand why it's rated so low. It's a very good movie. This is just slightly above it. It is pretty good.
Yeah, this movie's pretty good. It has good music too.
Yeah, it has good everything except for some of the writing,
Yeah.
some of the acting a little bit, and then some of the effects could have been better. But other than that, I actually really liked the movie.
Yeah, I did too.
So
And it was a very short and sweet plot. In other words, it didn't go on and divert in 50,000 different directions. But there were a couple of questions about it I didn't quite understand. Maybe if I watched it again or something, I would. But basically, it was pretty simple. There was just a few things about one of the vampire slayer was a vampire, and I thought that was interesting because who better to know how or when or where to kill a vampire than another vampire? And the bad vampire is Ash, and the good vampire is Zachary. And then there's
that's one of the problems too. Like, Zachary is his vampire name.
I think he's American. That his name wasn't. It wasn't his real name is not European.
It's very reminiscent of like Fright Night.
Oh, he could be British.
Jerry. Remember Jerry in Fright Night, Safi?
Oh, yeah.
Jerry. Like that's such a trash vampire name. And I really think that he should have like come up with some other name for himself or something, because you have Ash. Ash is a really good vampire name.
Yeah,
and
is.
It's just a good name in general, and it's also foreshadowing, obviously, for the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that.
Where he turns to ash.
Yeah. We just gave it all away, though.
Who cares? People can...
I know. I hope you watch this one, because it is Halloween month, and you're looking for movies that you haven't watched before. Like, I mean, we've watched Halloween, and I don't think I can do it this year. The original. Every single year.
Well, you will be watching Halloween Ends.
At least 34 years.
You will be watching...
Yeah, I have to watch this piece of trash new Halloween movie that's coming out, which I don't look forward to.
Another plagiarist movie from the Plagiarist trilogy.
It's just not entertaining, and it's... I point out things that are just ridiculous.
There's no sexuality.
This one, I think it had a little bit of everything, and and that's probably why it was good, and it didn't I don't think it overdid or overemphasized anything.
Oh, God.
It went around.
I thought you were about to say, I'm glad it didn't overstay its welcome.
No. And,
because I thought it could have gone on a little longer at the end.
Explain the plot a little bit better.
At the end, where, like, it takes, like, seconds to defeat that guy, Ash.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I really thought that there's a love interest in this movie. And one of my problems
that
with
was probably the weakest part.
And one of my problems is that this is kind of like, it is almost like a redo of Subspecies, where you have the second one, where the vampire is going to make the girl be like his apprentice, and he's in love with her, but he's really evil, and she is trying to resist. And then, of course, you have the good vampire, which is like in the first one with the Twilight boy in the first one.
This guy's better looking.
Oh, this guy was a better actor.
And a better actor, too.
And so, I would say that the story, even though it's like basically redoing Subspecies again, I actually think this is way better than both Subspecies films that we've seen.
Yeah.
So it's way better than that second one from last year that we said, oh, that's pretty good. Not as good as this.
No, not as good as this. I guess the music I said was good. It was orchestral and it was also piano because the female love interest is American and she is a pianist, and she must be doing traveling concerts in Europe. And because this one line she said, "Oh, I'm from New York, and that means I can handle anything." And then of course, when she says something like that, you think, "Oh God." And you're also very naive too.
Safi, that wasn't
playing the piano for too many hours.
That
practicing.
wasn't the worst line though, Safi. The worst line was when Zachary was trying to help her, and he's like, "Stay away from that creepy guy in that creepy car," and they want to take you away in their creepy car so that they can give you money to play music. Wink, wink, and she says like, "You're not my boyfriend.
Yeah.
You can't control me."
Yeah, that was. And I was going to write that one down. I wrote another one down. It's just this isn't as funny, but Zachary, she goes, "Well, where are you from?" Because they meet, and because he's protecting her, because he's there to go after Ash. She is there to avenge his lover Rebecca's death from 1,000,000 years ago, and he has been chasing Ash all over Europe apparently, and he chased him here, and then he saw that she was in trouble. He rescued her, and she says, "Well, where are you from?" Because after he said, "Oh, you're American," and he said, "I come from many countries." And I'm like, oh God. I said, well, why don't they all say that? Because, I mean, what does that even mean? I come from many countries. And then, it talks about he goes after Ash. He says, "The vampire is invulnerable to a surprise attack when it's utterly focused on its prey. And the moments when its bloodlust rises and it's utterly focused on its prey." That's the better, the real version. But anyway.
Safi, is that your vampire fan fiction?
Oh, and also Ash talked about he went to the girl's concert. She was playing somewhere else.
Oh, that was the funniest line, was when he was at that recital at the beginning, and he said something about, like, he liked the recital a lot.
No, he said the repertoire was sublime. The concert was mediocre at best. Which means he didn't think much of her playing.
No, he just
she
thought...
was the one who did the concert.
He just thought that she was attractive.
Yeah.
Which she did look like a good typical, like, vampire movie love interest, or like a good vampire, like, bride type character. But the problem was that her character hardly had anything to do.
Yeah.
Like, she was so involved in the beginning, and you thought maybe she's going to do something later on to, like, try to get out of this or anything. But she doesn't. She literally just, like, what does she do? She, like, stands around in a room.
And cries.
And cries.
And whines and screams.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, in the beginning, she has these conversations with him, and she sees that that other guy was bad. The owner of this club, which he gave her a card and said, "Come by this club. You're welcome anytime to play." And so after he scared her, and Zachary had to rescue her from him, and of course he didn't want to give himself away as the bad vampire. Ash didn't want to give himself away yet. He sent the owner of the club, which was not a vampire at all. I guess we were discussing this before the review, and figured he was saving her because he needed somebody, quote, normal to run the club and take care of the business, and and who could deal with people like during the day when none of them could. And so he left her alone, but he did try to control her. But anyway, she came by and told the girl that to come to the club they pay her $1,000. And Zachary said, "Don't do it." And of course, "I'm from New York and I can handle anything." So, that's it.
Safi, look. Look at the...
Okay.
You can look, it's trying to eat me through the roof.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Bee.
We have a sunroof on the car, and there's like a bee, and it's like trying to eat me through the roof.
Through the glass.
It's literally like chomping at the glass.
It can go F itself. Sorry.
Maybe
it's one of those hornets.
Maybe it's a vampire bee.
I don't know. It can go, you know what?
Well, that's the thing, is the movie has a lot of vampire cliches. Like, you have the human worker or the human servant who doesn't like the vampire, but they appreciate not getting killed, so they help the vampire anyway.
Well, because that helps her business too.
Yeah, and then you have the guy who betrays the vampire, and he gets killed, and that you have this weird little subplot. The one thing I really like about the movie that I think maybe I don't know if you liked it or not, was that just like with Being Human, instead of just having one vampire bad guy, it was sort of like a culture of vampires in this
like
little
world.
Its little section of New York.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool if, like, they made a movie where you have all sorts of different types of monsters.
They weren't from this. That wasn't New York, was it?
Oh wait, no, not
that
New
was
York.
That was in Europe somewhere. I don't even know.
Well, she's from New York, and I don't know.
No, it was in Europe.
Well, it would be cool if they did that regardless, because it is very much like Being Human, where you have all these monsters and they're living together, and you have the main vampire, and he likes to kill the bad vampires, because that's what he does in Being Human. He's a vampire, but he kills bad vampires. And so I like this movie. I can't really think of, like, hardly anything bad to say except for the whole love interest thing.
It really wasn't just about the love interest, meaning...
It was at first.
There, between the two, it's her part as just a single person could have been more developed, I think. And she could have said more, because it's like, as soon as she got to that building, the club, and, you know, remember, she was giving a concert because she thought she was going to get $1,000 and leave and go on her merry way, and Zachary said, no, you're not, you know, in other words. And
she plays the section of a song, and then immediately he kills her and turns her into a vampire.
Yeah, well, not completely. See, he did it in steps, and he asked her what she preferred, and she, you know, didn't want to do any of it. And he said he got pissed off because she was such a fighter, at least with her words. And he said, I'm going to do it slowly and bother you he said different words, I'm not going to say them, but get you every night.
Safi?
And
what is this, some sort of fan fiction that you wrote about?
The final thing was
get
her completely turned over.
Is this your fan fiction, Safi?
Marco, be quiet. She had to drink or taste a little bit of his blood, and that would completely turn her over. So, in other words, it wasn't a completely escape-free ending. Zachary managed to help her, but she'd been turned over, and so they were going to have she could not do any more daylight, but they could be together, and he could help her and teach her about living as a vampire. So this isn't like a completely happy ending where everything's perfect in every single way. This had, you know, but Zachary got to kill him. And that's what he wanted all along, because he'd been after him for years because of his wife or girlfriend or whatever, Rebecca, from 1,000,000 years ago. I don't even know when, like, you know, a couple of 100 years before. And so anyway, the only complaint I have, which is just a minor, is that, you know, she played the piano and it was tinny sounding, which means it wasn't a very good piano.
Well, Safi, this
But
was
it was really,
this was a low budget movie. So
I
what do you
know, but
expect?
it was really good music. The pianist who was really playing, and the orchestral accompaniment was really good too in the background. And just the piano was tinny sounding.
Well, they probably couldn't help that, Safi. I mean,
Probably
they
not.
can only,
I know.
you know, it's not like they can get the piano that was at your mom's house or anything. Like, really good piano. And speaking of other similarities to Subspecies, they also had this weird villainous character, and she had like a veil on her face, and she looked like witchy, and I guess she was like the mom of Ash or something.
Yeah, we talked about this too, and we couldn't figure out who she is.
Well, it was very reminiscent of in Subspecies too,
yeah.
when they showed his mom, and she was like this creepy witchy character, and so that was another element that was like, oh, it's another Subspecies thing. And I would say overall, though, like, it has a lot more blood and gore than Subspecies. Like, the Subspecies movies, the first two, they hardly have anything at all. It's like, it's pretty tame and embarrassing, because when you watch a vampire movie, what do you want to see, Safi?
Blood?
Yeah, you want to see blood. And you don't really see any in the Subspecies movies, except for, like, the opening of the first one and then some parts in the second one. So I really thought that this movie delivered on all the elements of a vampire movie that you want. Mm-hmm. The only flaw in the vampires is that the main villain, Ash, he just looks like a goth person the whole movie. He never really looks like a monster. And I wished at some point
he didn't.
He had some sort of a monster face, because that would have been cool. That would have completed this and made it like a really good vampire movie, not just a pretty good one. And the main guy, of course, he just looks like a goth person from
Zachary.
Hot Topic worker or something.
Yeah, he was a pretty boy.
Yeah. But he was good.
Yes, he was. He was very good.
I didn't think he was bad, but I'm just so sick of these
That's
vampire.
Why I didn't understand what was going on with him being a vampire. He says, "I have a mortal heart," and blah blah blah, and therefore, and he would at the beginning, and this is the way he had existed this whole time. He had gotten people, but he got them on the wrist. He didn't want to look into their faces, and he said this whole big explanation, and it kind of flew past me.
Well, I'm sick of these.
I'm not gonna repeat it, but anyway.
I'm sick of these vampire movies where they have these characters, and they're just these pretty boys with long hair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sick of it. Like, just do something different.
Well,
like,
at least he could act.
Yeah.
That was the good thing.
At least he can act, unlike any of the people from Subspecies 1. Except for, like, the villain, and then that girl who lived there that you had some sort of an obsession with when you did that review.
No, I just remember she was the only one who...
Remember?
Because she was from there. They said something when reading about it. I think they said she was from there.
And you said
and
you
she
wanted
kind of
to...
knew what to do, or
you wanted
what
to
say,
write,
or how to act.
You wanted to write your fan fiction with you and her.
Marco, he is lying. Don't be a dip.
It's like
He's being a dip. Just don't continue.
A remake of The Vampire Lovers with you.
Oh, come on. So anyway,
what?
I think we're ready to give it our food review.
You're not going to admit that, Safi?
Because it's not true. It's just BS.
Remember what your story was called? It was...
No, because I never wrote any story. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was
Stop it, Marco.
It was...
So you can't even keep a straight face because it's a bunch of BS.
It was called a cold-blooded lover's twirl.
God, that sounds like something for Sesame Street or something.
And it was you and that girl.
Yeah,
It was you and that girl from Subspecies.
No, Marco.
And she was a human, and you had to turn her into a vampire.
Let's not waste people's time, okay? No, it's not true. I didn't do any such thing.
Yeah,
I never
you
said
did.
any such thing.
Yeah.
No.
Because you could be like Nosferatu.
Oh, God.
You could stand in the dark and stare at her while she sleeps. And then tell her a scary love poem.
Okay. That's enough now. Okay, I gave it there's some cupcakes out from Hostess.
There's some cupcakes.
And they're just for Halloween. And they have orange icing, and they're little, and they're, they have the filling, and they're chocolate. And I got those yesterday, but I actually haven't had one yet. But they look really good. And since I am off my medication that I was on for almost 10 years, I can taste everything now, including the toothpaste. So I'm looking forward to tasting.
Oh, so you haven't even eaten that yet, and you're saying
it looks really
oh,
good.
shit. Safi, go in there and get one and eat it.
Well, I'm going to have to
on
get something.
camera.
I'm starving.
Because, that's just ridiculous.
Actually, I was going to have pretzels.
You have to eat something while you do if you do your food review. Go get one. Go get one and take the checkbook. Anyways, my food review. Well, I'll tell you guys, the reason why I knew about this movie was because... Safi, hurry up. When I was a kid and I went to Hollywood Video, they had this movie, but they had it to where it had William Shatner and then this creepy puppet person on the cover. And it looked very fun because the puppet guy was dressed up in like a movie theater usher costume from like the olden times, with the red movie theater outfits. Ugh. The shadow of like a plane just flew over. It looked pretty creepy. Maybe it was a vampire plane, if those exist. And I thought, this looks like a lot of fun. And so I got it. And I also got a bag of gummy worms. And I got popcorn. And I had that as like a snack while I watched this movie. And I just remember it being one of the best movie experiences I've ever had. And I sat there, like, watching it and being like, I really wish I could, like, this could be, like, all my movie experiences where I'm just sitting there enjoying it and eating a snack. And it just all fits together. It creates the perfect atmosphere. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't have anyone to watch a movie with. All that matters is you have a movie and a good snack. And that was the moment, like, when I said, like, you know what? Screw M&Ms and popcorn. Screw all those other things that I thought were good movie snacks. Gummy worms. Sour gummy worms are the best movie snack. I don't know if I would still say that today, but that was my thoughts back then when I was a kid, and I would go to Hollywood Video every Wednesday to get movies, primarily vampire ones. And I didn't really think, oh God, Safi's already eating it as she's coming back to the car. She's like stuffing it in her face. Like she's like, she looks like she's not even breathing while she's eating it. And so I would actually get that movie over and over and over again. And I would rent it, and I would get gummy worms, and I'd just do the same thing all the time because it was so much fun. And it was funny because the movie was, I thought as a kid, it was not very good because I thought it was boring. And so I would fall asleep watching it and then wake up and watch the good, like, blood and gore bits. And so that's why I knew this movie. And so my food review, Safi, what do you think about your pumpkin cupcake?
It's really good. It is pumpkin flavored with the cream, and then there's a little band of orange on the top on cream cheese frosting. And so you have a little orange flavor.
So you think
And
it's
the cream cheese frosting is good.
You
So.
think it reminds you of Vampire Journals?
I don't know about
What
that.
do you think?
To start off the month for Halloween movies.
Take a big bite. Yum, 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 yum. You like that, Safi?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Does it remind you of,
Plus, I'm starving.
if it doesn't remind you of Vampire Journals, does it remind you of the girl from Subspecies?
No, it doesn't.
What food rating would you give her? Look, there's a little hair there.
I don't know. Avocado?
You think
know.
she's an avocado?
Avocado salad?
Okay, well, my food review of Vampire Journals is, I was thinking about, this movie is very fun. It really gets you in the Halloween mood, and it's a good vampire movie. And so I would give it something that's very fun and it's just good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. If you make dirt cake, which is you have like an Oreo crumble, and then you have this like creamy pudding, and it's like
with
that,
cream cheese.
And it's layers, and you go 1, 2, 1, 2, different layers of the same two ingredients, and then on the top you could put some sour gummy worms. And not just any sour gummy worms, because I don't like certain flavors. I don't like that shitty ass yellow and red flavor. That's my least favorite.
Yeah.
And no, but they have now where you can get a bag where it's just the blue and red. And that is the best gummy worm flavor, I think. Oh, actually, the green and orange. Purple?
Is there any purple?
Oh, God, Safi, just because it's purple, that's really gay.
Grape?
No, there's no... Safi, I'm going to explain to you the gummy worm dictionary, the gummy worm alphabet. You have red and blue. Do you comprehend?
Mm-hmm.
You have yellow and red, and you have orange and green. And I think you might have one other one. I can't remember.
Purple and blue?
Safi, damn it.
One had purple in it.
I think it was purple and orange.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I can't remember, but the best ones are blue and red. And so you get dirt cake, and you put some blue and red gummy worms all over it. And it can kind of remind you of like a vampire inside the dirt, or like, they had a rule in the first Dracula book where he had to sleep with dirt in his coffin. So that's what this movie kind of reminds me of. It's like a very fun, playful, I don't want to say playful, but just a decent, fun vampire movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was short. It wasn't overdrawn, over lengthy.
Yeah,
with a bunch of plot points that never go anywhere.
It knew when to leave the party. It knew when to not overstay its welcome. Right, Safi?
Yep.
So, what's our next... Well, our next movie...
Our next one is.
My movie for tomorrow will be, I think, 1 or 2 new releases. And so that'll be fun. Not. And then the day after that will be... Chucky, Season 2, Episode 1.
Wow. Okay. I thought it was on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, it's on tomorrow night, but we do the review the next morning.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Anyway, Safi?
So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We welcome new subscribers all the time, and we like to listen to what other people have to say. I hope that you follow our recommendation and watch this movie, because it is worth your time, I believe. And we are getting ready to move, so we don't have a lot of time. So if I'm recommending this for time and we're this busy, then that means something.
Safi, let's say that people... Okay, how about this, Safi? Well, how about this, commenters? Make a comment if you would like Safi to write Cold-Blooded Lovers Twirl. and she'll write it.
I'm not going to write
It's her,
that. Sorry.
It's her scary fan fiction about
No.
the girl from Subspecies.
No.
And it can be a deadly...
Why don't you do it,
a
Marco?
deadly...
I have other things to do.
A deadly lover's return or something. Like, what would you...
We have a house that we've been here for 34
Safi,
years.
let's come
Not
up.
Marco,
let's come up with the plot right now.
No.
Yeah.
And
it opens up, and the wind is going like in Twin Peaks. It's going, ooh, and then you pan over and you see the girl from Subspecies, and she's in a white nightgown.
She didn't get converted.
And then Safi, like, she's flying around in a vampire plane, and she jumps out, and she uses a parachute with the Ukrainian flag on the parachute.
I'm sure the Ukrainians would like that.
And then she lands on the balcony, and she says, "Yeah, come here, Subspecies girl." And then the Subspecies girl says, "No, go away." And she says, "You won't be able to resist the temptation."
Okay, that's enough now. Okay, so goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.